Hey guys, so today's 7 on Sunday. I feel like I haven't filmed a video for like the longest time, but I've just been so busy and I really do have videos that I want to do, but I just haven't got the time to plan them out. So basically at the moment it's like a video a week, so I'm sorry if you guys are missing my beautiful face. But I am here for the other 7 on Sunday. I said I was going to film because I can do this topic even though I sort of can't. To explain that, today we are talking about books we read in one day / one sitting, and this is something that I just don't really do. If I read a book in one day, that is a miracle. And honestly, I've not read a book in one sitting before, like ever, because I am a very distracted person. So I go up and I eat lunch, I will watch a movie, I will do something on my phone. I cannot just read consecutively a whole freaking book. That doesn't happen. The people that can happen to are so lucky, because I would love to have that gene, but I don't. But a book over one day, when I spend half the day doing other things but then also reading, has happened to me, but it hasn't happened to me 7 times. So 2 of the books on this list I read over multiple days, but they are on the list for a reason, and I will explain why when I get to them. But let's get into the books that I managed to read really quickly. So obviously I have to mention Heartstopper by Oseman first, because I did read this in one day. This is a cheat though, because it is a comic. Most people have read all 4 volumes in one day, so I'm obviously not as great, but I found this so easy to read. I was able to get through it very quickly, and it's just such a cute story. Like, the cuteness makes you keep reading, but also there is probably like, how many like pages would you say, like maybe 50 pages of actual like stuff to read, maybe even less than that. But I always love to just like constantly look at the photos. They make me so happy, bring me the joy. But this was definitely a very easy one to get through. The next one I want to talk about is Illuminae by Amie, Kaufman and Kristoff, and this is another cheat because it's all files. So a lot of these pages are actually like not much to read, but there is also lots of sections. Like literally this page is black. There's nothing, well, I mean there is something, but there's nothing there. So this was easy to get through, and I've read it for a readathon, so I just spent like a solid amount of time reading it in that day. Like, yes, this is still a thick ass book, and it's probably the like consistency of maybe like a 200-page novel, even though this is like 500. But I get through these really quickly because the investment level is there. But it's just such a unique way to read a story. I love it so much. Getting onto a book I did actually read in one day, and that is The Things We Didn't Say by Kylie Fosner. I was at my grandma's house a couple of years ago, and Booktubeathon was happening for 2 of the days that I was there. So I sat on her armchair in the lounge room, and I just read this all freaking day, and I got through the whole book. Honestly, this is one of my proudest achievements, I have to tell you, because I didn't think I was going to read the whole thing in a day, and it is a contemporary, and I got through it really easily, and I really enjoy this story. Honestly, I should reread it because I need to like re-experience it, because I'm kind of forgetting what actually happens with a lot of the story. I know what it's about, but I forgot what happened. But I loved this so much, and I just was so proud of myself for getting through it, because I think I only read like 2 other books for the readathon for the rest of the week, but this was the achievement. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm always like, yeah, I read Grace and Fury in one day by Tracy Banghart. I did a great job with this, and the funny thing about this is I used to read before work when I was in Jindabyne, so I would have a solid hour and a half before work to read, and I would always just be like reading half a book and then reading half a book again the next day. Like, I was actually getting through quite a lot of books because I had more time. Like here, I do have time in the morning, but I watch Netflix. So obviously when I didn't have Netflix, I was able to read more in my life. So Netflix is also the reason I'm slumping all the time, because I'd rather watch TV. It's a lot easier. But now as well, I go to the gym before work, or I'll go food shopping, or I have to make my lunch and then I have to get ready. So I actually have to spend 2 hours before work just making my lunch and getting ready. So it's cut out a lot of the time that I used to have. So I got to like page 200 of this book, and I was so shocked I got through so much of it, and I was there reading and reading and reading, and I like knew I would have to go to work, and I didn't want to go to work because I wanted to keep reading. And then it started snowing so badly. It was everywhere within minutes, and I was calling work like, bitch, no, I ain't coming, I ain't coming. And then I read the rest of the book after I hanged up the phone. So I got to stay home from work because I couldn't drive, and then I got to finish this book in a day, and I was so adamant about getting it done, and I enjoyed this so much because it's such a funny day for me that the universe was like, girl, we got you. We're gonna send a snowstorm so you can keep reading. And I'm like, praise, thank you for that. And then it took me 14 years to read the sequel. That was kind of mildly disappointing, but we don't talk about that bit. But I am just so happy that the universe lined up for me on this day to read this whole book. Can I say I lie? Because actually 3 of the books on my list I didn't read all in one day, so. So I have to mention Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Allisanze. I never know how to say his name and it stresses me out, but basically the reason I want to talk about this book is I think I only read a small amount of it one day, and then the next day, because back at Jindabyne, when I wasn't full-time and before I drove, because I didn't have my license yet and I got my license later, I had to do a shift at 2:30, and it was like 2:30 to 6:30 every day. And my parents would always take me to work, but the issue is they had to be at work at 9:30 and they normally didn't finish work until like 3. So I couldn't stay at home because someone had to drive me to work, so I had to go in with them, and then I would just sit in a cafe for 4 hours to then do my 4-hour shift, which is kind of dumb, but I was too scared to tell work that this wasn't convenient for me, so I just put up with this. And it was one of the reasons why I used to go to the cinema a hell of a lot, because I would go to a midday movie to take up some of the time if it was a movie I wanted to see, and a lot of the time I just saw something just to have something to do, or I would read for 5 hours, or I would bring my laptop and do work for school. There's a lot of things that I could do, but I also had to keep buying drinks so that I could stay in the cafe, so as I didn't want them to be like, oh god, she's here all day, so I would always buy like 2 drinks at least so that I could do that. But one of the days I brought this with me and I literally got through the rest of the book in like 3 hours. I was so shocked, but the main reason is all of these chapters most of the time are only like 2 pages, so it's actually quite an easy book to get through. Like, I love chapters that are so small, and I also love the thing too when books do that, like they'll have a plain page and then they'll start the chapter on this side, so there's like 30 pages that you save, you know, like you're always like, oh, a head on the page count. So this was one that I just got through so incredibly quickly, and I do hope I get through the sequel quickly, but I still haven't picked it up because I don't know, like I really want to read it, but I also have no interest in reading it right now. That is my life on so many books, oh my god. Next I want to talk about Love and Gelato by Jenna Walsh, and I read this book in 2 days, but I was just proud of myself because this is one of my books where I read half of it in the morning and then half of it the next morning, and I just found this really easy to get through. It was so quick, and the sequel I read extremely quickly as well, and I know there's a 3rd book and I'm so sad that I haven't got it yet, but I think it's really expensive online. But these are contemporaries I really enjoy because they make me want to visit the countries that they're set in. So this book is set in Tuscany, the next book is set in Ireland, and the 3rd one I think maybe set in like Paris or something. I don't know. It's love and olives, so wherever olives are made is where it's set, okay? But I just enjoy these so much, and it's not even the romances, it's just the way that they have these whirlwind travel holidays, and I want to do that so much, so I just love it so much. And lastly, I want to talk about a more recent read, and that was The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this is one that I'm putting on the list because I barely read more than 50 pages a day anymore. In the last year, I'd say I haven't really done that, except for like rare circumstances when I would have a lot of time to read or I'd have a day off. Like at my grandma's I definitely read more, and that was last year, and coming here I'm just so busy I just don't read a lot. But this was the first time that I took the train to Sydney by myself and I read 150 pages of this book on the train. And I was so proud of myself. And now I know that I can always read at least 150 pages, because the next time I went on the train to Sydney, I read another book and I read nearly half of it. So I just like the fact that I'm getting to read on the train when I visit people, and that just makes it worthwhile. Like, I know that it's like 7 hours that I spend traveling to get to Sydney, like there and back, because there's the waiting, there's me driving from home, there's changing trains, and it's an effort. But I love spending like 10 hours in Sydney. Like, I leave really early, I leave really late, I have a great time. It's always a great time, and I am just so happy that I'm able to maintain somewhat concentration, because yes, 7 hours, most people could read 2 books in that time. I'm reading 150 pages. I know it's slow, but I also get distracted by my phone because it's me. But I'm just happy that I'm able to do it, and it made me want to keep reading this book afterwards, because I was getting into like really good parts of the story. So for me, a day of reading turns into like a week of reading, but I'm proud of myself. So this is my list, and I highly recommend reading every single book here if you haven't. Please let me know if you have read any of these. If you haven't read these 2, I'd be like, what are you doing? But the others I don't hear as many people talk about, but I love them. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video of all the books I nearly read in one sitting, because I do suck slightly. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!